Court will take center stage with some potential life-changing decisions. Affirmative action and a possible challenge to Roe v. Wade. They're just two of the cases that are being discussed right now. And our legal expert, Candace Kelly, is back with us to talk about all of it. Good morning again, Candace. First, I want you, if you can, to tell us how the Supreme Court calendar works, because we're really not clear on when they come to work and why there's such a gap between, them deciding some of these high-profile cases.
Yeah, by law, by statute, on the books it says that the Supreme Court has to convene the first Monday in October, and then when we get to where we are now, around May and June, this is where we actually hear opinions. We actually hear information about cases that they will take up next year. The other thing that's very different in terms of the Supreme Court is that we are now hearing what they are doing and saying by audio, live. Now, generally we have access to the audio of the Supreme Court, but because of COVID, we are now live and we are privy to what they're doing every Monday and Thursday now, which is when they now make their decisions, and that includes today. So we are going to hear decisions. We're also going to hear what they will possibly take up for the next term. So that's where we are right now in terms of the calendar.
Yeah, just looking at the group picture, I'm for probably court packing at this point. But anyway, affirmative action, Candace, higher education, they're zeroing in there. This is a potential landmark case. Walk us through what is on the table, because I feel like we've had cases, affirmative action, higher education before, but what about this one?
Sharon, you're exactly right. In fact, about 5 years ago, we heard about affirmative action, and the justices said that, the school in question was doing what they were supposed to do. But a lot of eyes now are all the justices because of another affirmative action case, as you said. They could say today whether or not they're going to hear an appeal from a group called Students for Fair Admissions. Now, the group claims that Harvard University discriminates against Asian American applicants specifically and awards in massive preferences to Black and Hispanic applicants. So, of course, this is something that Harvard is saying, no, they flatly deny it. But this case is certainly going to affect every admissions process, depending upon what happens here in the future. It's going to have reverberating effects in terms of what the Supreme Court will say. But we've been here before over the years, and after this, we will be here again, because there are always groups in the background and in the foreground working to make sure that affirmative action is removed off of the books.
Yeah, and these groups, they're dogged in their approach, because didn't Harvard argue, Candace, that, look, we've been here before. Lower courts have already rejected this, okay, and said that we're not wrong here. So the Supreme Court shouldn't even take it up. You just wonder how many bites of the apple do they get here?
It's as many bites as the court will give them, and because the court changes and morphs so much, we have, different ideologies put forth in terms of what they say they will listen to and what they don't. So whenever they're given an opportunity, groups like the ones in this particular case that they may take up, whenever they're given the opportunity, they take a stab at it and see can they get in. They're hoping that the Trump's wisdom, if you will, is still continuing, and that these justices will allow this case to be heard. But it's an instant replay, and we'll see it again, as you said.
And there's something else that it feels like Groundhog's Day, and here we go again with serious implications, though. That's Roe v. Wade. Again, because of the makeup of the court, Candace, experts say this too will be challenged because there's so many conservatives right now on the bench.
Absolutely. Times have changed, and then so have the justices. So the Supreme Court said that it would take up this case. When they said that, it threw a lot of people into a panic, and rightfully so, because the question before the court is whether states can prohibit abortions before viability. And with this new makeup of the court, there's just no saying what will happen. No way to determine what way this will go, because we have not been here before. I mean, Donald Trump specifically appointed justices he hoped would overturn Roe. And Justice Amy Coney Barrett, for example, she's expressed opposition to Roe as a law professor. And overruling Roe, there's one thing that people should understand. Overruling Roe, though, will not end abortions altogether in the United States. What it will do is it's just going to leave the matter to the states, which still makes it a hodgepodge of a mess. we're going to have people going from state to state to try to get abortions. And if they can't afford it, that certainly becomes a problem. But if this does happen, the state is going to be in charge of what will happen in terms of abortion. So we'll have to see, but it certainly has a lot of people on edge.
Yeah, but here's what I'm not understanding, and because you're the lawyer, I know you can answer this. Isn't this settled case law? Hasn't this been the law of the land at the highest level for decades now? You know, what about precedents?
It is. And precedent is very important, okay? But precedent, we also know, is very important when it comes to Plessy versus Ferguson and then Brown versus Board of Education. It depends upon the times which we are in. And it's just an amazing civics lesson and understanding to look at the court and say, because of that makeup of the court and those who were appointed, that's when it translates into the outcomes and important Supreme Court decisions like this. So when Donald Trump was appointing people on the federal level and in the Supreme Court, I don't think anybody took it lightly, but look at this. 3 liberals, 6 conservatives that we don't know which way they will go. So you're right, precedent takes precedence, but because the times have changed, so do the minds of the justices, and so have the justices themselves.
Is there any way before they decide this case we can get all of this stuff, them to take some continuing education on critical race theory? Can we at least get something, just a little refresher course here, Candace, before it's outlawed throughout the land and they start making these decisions that are going to affect Black and brown lives and women? That would be key.
It would be key. And you're right, because it's this piecemealing. Each state, as we see with critical race theory, great example, is making decisions about what can stay and what can go. It is something that I think will ultimately find its way to the Supreme Court down the line, because Sharon, Candace, you know, it's just one of those things where we're seeing history being questioned. It may come up before the Supreme Court. You really just never know. It is just that important.